Welcome to a short introduction to Geogebra, which is a dynamic mathematics software or mobile application that brings together geometry, algebra, and spreadsheet capabilities all into one user-friendly interface. What I really like about this software is that it combines everything that you need to do math from 6th grade all the way up through college level courses that you would do at the high school, such as calculus or statistics. Here's the different options. You have an algebra interface, geometry interface, spreadsheet capability, computer algebra system, 3D graphics, as well as probability. So starting off, we'll start with an algebra interface. This graphs your typical functions, things that you would see in just a first-year algebra course. Linear functions, it'll graph quadratic functions, you're able to move the screen around, click a graph, you can move the graph over and it'll adjust the equation for you so that you can see different intercepts, different values in the functions. What else is really nice about this program is it allows you to create sliders so that you can have more dynamic interactions. So students could open this and be able to actually see what is slope and intercepts in this equation. So you see it's going to create a slider for B and a slider for M. And what that does, so as students are developing their understanding of slope, they can come in here and change the M in the equation, and it'll change the slope of the line. And they can then adjust the B value, and they'll see that the function, the line that's graphed moves up and down the y-axis. That's our basic algebra step. If you want to go all the way up through calculus, it has typical, here's your sine function. What's nice is it calculates derivatives for you. So I can put f prime of x, and it'll calculate the derivative for me as well. I can also do a second derivative. And it'll calculate a second derivative for me. If I wanted to go and switch to geometry, one of the things that students have a hard time with is constructions. What this computer program does is it allows you to go through and actually construct figures. So if I put 2 points, I want to connect them with a segment, that creates a segment. If I wanted to make a right triangle, what I can do is draw a perpendicular line to this segment. So that'll create a perpendicular line for me. If I wanted to finish off make a triangle out of this, I would put another point here on that line and connect it over. What's really nice about this though is when you create this triangle, here's my right angle, what I can do is I can move these points around. But what it does is it keeps that right angle true. Because as I constructed the triangle, I constructed it so that this was a right angle. So by doing this, what it allows students to do is create shapes and then adjust and move them around, move points around, and see how that affects the graph or how it affects the shape that they made. This is a great way for kids to tell the relationships between rectangles and squares and rhombus when they're going through and categorizing all the quadrilaterals. Because depending on what criteria they use to make the shape, they'll be able to adjust points and see how that alters the figure. Switching from geometry, we can also look at a spreadsheet. If I wanted to enter values in, here's 10 values. What I can do is up here, click on the one variable analysis. It gives me a histogram of that data that I put in. And also make a box chart. I can make a box plot, a dot plot, stem and leaf, a normal quartile plot. All of these things that students would have to do in an introductory statistics course. If kids are taking an AP course, they might get something, they'll start looking at relationships between multiple variables. So what you're able to do is actually, from the drop-down menu, instead of having one variable highlighted, you want to do two variable, analyze, and you're able to get a scatter plot of the two sets of data. So you're able to see here that this has a pretty straight, a nice linear regression model would fit this fairly well. You can also switch to a multivariable analysis, and it'll give you stacked box plots. So you can compare medians, you can compare the range, the quartiles where the majority of the data falls. You get a more overall view of it. Well, thank you very much. That is our introduction to GeoGebra.